I was diagnosed in September 2014, and to begin with, for the first day or so it was quite hard. I'd just done a placement. I'm a physio student, so I'd just done the placement with a lot of stroke patients and MS patients, and obviously saw the more severe end of things, and it scared me, and I was horrified that my life was going to be kind of revolving around not being independent. But I managed to use sport to give me a goal and give me something I could control, and it's what kind of allowed me to get over it in a relatively short period of time. The diagnosis definitely changed the way that I think about things and kind of my outlook. I think now more about kind of living each day as it comes and taking every opportunity that's in front of you. You don't know when things are going to change, you don't know when your life's going to end, and you don't know what's going to come as a challenge. So if you've got an opportunity, I always think it's take it while it's there, because you might not ever have the opportunity to do it again. So my main symptoms are I get a lot of muscle spasms, so mainly through my right arm, and then I get them in my right leg, and then when I'm quite fatigued I get them in my both legs and my other arm, and that's kind of the times where I spend time in my wheelchair. But I also have altered sensation and a lot of pins and needles and burning, which is fun. And then I also have kind of some kind of problems in terms of like memory, thinking, just fatigue in general. A lot of my symptoms come when I'm fatigued, and it's quite tricky as a student trying to stay not fatigued while also trying to do two sports. It's a tricky balance. A lot of the symptoms are quite invincible. A lot of people, you can't see fatigue, you can't see any of the sensory issues that people have got, you can't see any of the cognitive issues that people have got. And that's quite tricky, especially for someone that is struggling with it. And in terms of being in work, or for me, in terms of my sport and my classification, a lot of people don't understand how it works and why I'm classified and what things are. But yeah, it's quite tricky how we deal with it, by raising awareness so people understand the symptoms that we have and people know about it and are able to then make adjustments to help people, whether it's within school life, uni life, whether it's in the workplace, whatever you're doing, like adjustments need to be made, but people need to understand it and kind of have the awareness of the illness and how it can affect us. I think in terms of my sporting achievements, I'd probably have to go with my Rio achievements were amazing, but I think maybe my cycling race, but I don't think it probably wasn't my highlight in terms of, the performance was great, but I think mainly because that was the performance that kind of achieved the two sports, and I'd set out to go to Rio to become successful in two sports for the sake of being able to show people across the world that I've got MS, got other chronic conditions, invisible illnesses, that we can still achieve things. And if you put your mind to it and try to do it a different way, it won't be the same way as what it used to be, but you can still achieve things. And MS is not kind of the end of your life. It doesn't put a full stop after your name. You can still continue to do things. And I think it was just a very emotional performance, and it meant so much to me because it wasn't just for me, it was for everyone else, and I felt like I'd achieved that and not let them down, which is, I was pretty scared of letting everyone down, but I think that was probably more pressure for myself, but that would be my highlight. My inspiration used to be an athlete called Alison Felix, who's an American 400 metre runner. She runs so amazing, so graceful, and she's a lovely person. But then I became a Paralympic athlete, and I'm surrounded with people that have experienced horrible things. I have a friend who was in a tractor, and her dad accidentally crushed her inside that, so she's a spinal cord athlete. She became world champion and world record holder this year. I have another friend who jumped into a swimming pool, broke her neck. She was fine to begin with, but then she moved and that made her a paraplegic, but she's on the Paralympic squad. And these people around me that are doing amazing things every single day, these are the people that become my inspiration. Like, when you're with people that have got everything against them and kind of they've had so many setbacks but they still go on to push through things, they're the people that become your inspiration. Getting involved in sport, it's different for every person with MS. I started quite steadily because my balance was really bad when I first began, so I did a lot of work on a stationary bike. I started lifting weights in the gym, but it was kind of just squatting in one plane with someone supporting me, just because as soon as you do movement outside, it's too much balance and coordination. But I'd say just take your time to get into it, find something that works for you, find something you enjoy. A lot of the time it's going to be stuff that's not weight bearing, so getting in the swimming pool, getting on a bike, but then those things lead on to being able to do more things where you're weight bearing and you've got coordination going on, so then you're getting involved in your running, skipping, your Pilates classes. All really good. Yoga and Pilates plus lifting in the gym is what allowed me to be able to get back into sport. It just helped me to gain back the coordination and the balance, and then I was able to go on and achieve great things. So yeah, you just got to work really hard and find what works for you. I do see an MS nurse, and they've helped me quite a lot in terms of the medication that I'm on and controlling my MS and just knowing the symptoms. I suffered with a lot of UTIs, so they've helped me to be able to know the symptoms of that. I used to panic thinking I was having a relapse every time I had a UTI, but understanding the symptoms and then finding ways to be able to manage that, they've helped me with that. My medication, I have an injectable medication, and I really struggle with kind of injections and painfulness and lumps and all the stuff that come with an injection, but they've helped me to be able to manage that and then signpost me to the right people, whether it be to the consultant if I need to look at my medication, or whether it be someone to look at kind of what's going on with my UTI. So it's really important to have the specialist nurse, because they kind of bring everything together. They look at you as a person, and they work with the rest of the team as an MDT. And help to kind of help you to be as good as you can be, and I think it's all important. We really focus on the individual and what the individual needs, and that's what the MS nurse helps to allow to happen. I'd just say don't panic and don't go scrolling through the internet to try and learn information. There's a lot of information out there that is very negative. You type things into Google and you tend to see the horrible side. I'd say try find networks of people that have the condition, rather than seeing what you see on the internet. It's a lot better to speak to individuals that have the condition and that are living with the condition, and approach people like the MS Trust that can signpost you to different kind of networks and people that can help support you and speak to your MS nurse. It is a very scary condition to have, especially when you're first diagnosed, but it's not as bad as what people think, and especially in this day and age with all the research that's been done. So I'd just say, yeah, don't panic and find a good network and to communicate with people with the condition as well.